Hello, my name is Alex Tackett, and I'm really excited that you're here. If you're here, you're probably a people pleaser, and I don't say that in a bad way. I say that as myself, a recovering people pleaser. And I'm really excited to share this method that is tried and true and how it's worked for me to liberate myself in building a flourishing life and business that is not just successful financially, but successful as in it has enough space for me and it feels like me. And if you're here, you're not crazy, or you are a little bit, but in a good way, and not in the way that, there's no hope for you and you're doomed to just be this way forever and this is going to work for everyone else but not you. I'm here to show you how that's not true, why that's not true, and what we can do about it. All right, I'm going to move my little noggin out of the way. So first things first, I want to just check in and see if you are a people pleaser. Like I said, if you've made it this far, it's probably true, but just checking in on a couple of different sort of telltale signs that you are a people pleaser. Things like having a hard time to remember to take a break, trouble asking for your needs, or kind of shyness around asking for what your needs are or your wants are. Have a hard time making boundaries with friends or family because you don't want to ruffle any feathers or disappoint anyone. Saying yes to doing things you don't want to do because you don't want to let anyone down. That's definitely me, or I'm working to sort of undo that. And it's easy for you to justify anyone else getting what they want or what they need, but you have a hard time asking for it for yourself. So it's easy for you to see that everyone else could have their needs and wants met, but you're like the exception and you won't sort of voice that, or if you do, it's like rather timid. Does the idea of raising your prices make you want to crawl into a hole and never come out? Do you justify staying with the client because you're afraid of letting them down, even though your time together has run its course? So I see this a lot with people who are sort of grasping on to clients that they have so many complaints about, are aggravated when they even think about working with these clients, but they say like, oh, well, I can't do any better, or I should be grateful, or X, Y, and Z, and refuse to make boundaries with them as well. Have you ever called yourself a fixer, or like in your friends and family kind of like the caretaker or the mom of the group? These are all signs of being a people pleaser, either one or many. And if you're like me, I made this list from literally my own personal experience. So again, we're not shaming anyone for checking every single one off of the list. You are not alone in this. I used to spin out and shut down for days at a time anytime I ruffled anyone's feathers in the slightest. A kind of silly example would just be like, not even someone's version of yelling at me, but anytime someone would ask even like a clarifying question about what I was doing, I would think I was wrong, immediately back down and just like contract and go back to hiding. I would sort of cave at any moment or any sign of like questioning or resistance, including whispering my prices or never even bringing up money to clients I've had in teaching or healing, and go like months without asking for the payment that I was rightfully owed. So before we dive all the way into all of this, I want you to just take a second and take a deep breath. This training is different, and the work that I do is different. It's not just straight up advertising and marketing and back-end business building, though I am very well versed in that, and that's something I cover in the work that I do. This also isn't just sort of spiritually bypassing woo-woo, just say mantras and believe you're good and think positive and then everything will work. This is not that. This is sort of a beautiful hybrid fusion of that combines every sort of little bit of everything from all the different modalities I've studied. I'll get into my background in a second, both spiritually and through building my own business that I've learned, and I've sort of packaged this up into one sort of easy to chew on method, starting with this webinar. None of this is working or focusing on working harder or like, pulling up your big girl pants and just like mashing through it. It's not centered around needing another certification or going back to school again to try and find the permission that you've been seeking to finally be able to do what you want to do and have that freedom and success. You're stuck because you're focusing on the wrong thing. What you want is not on the other side of working harder and paying your dues. This is about learning how to work differently. And if you've ever thought that there's got to be a better way than what you've been doing, you're exactly right. And I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to point out the reasons why you're exhausted. And I also want a disclaimer that like I say all of this with love and as someone that has worked really hard in a different way to learn how to unlearn and sort of relearn how to do things differently. So I've been there and I'm not here to blame or shame you for being here. So who am I and why should you listen to me? My name is Alex and I am a trauma-informed business coach, multiple business owner, healer, witch, waymaker, and recovering people pleaser. I wear like 1,000 different hats in many of my different businesses, passion projects, and sort of the things that I get into. But for the purposes of this video, this is the most important kind of part of what I do. And of course, most importantly, I didn't start out this way. I actually started all of this working in the California State Capitol. So it's a longer story than we have time for this webinar, but I sort of accidentally got a job working in politics. And I found myself doing things like writing legislation, telling my boss how to vote. I was a legislative aide for an assembly member. Taking meetings with really fancy, powerful people, smoking a cigar with the governor, going like schmoozing with lobbyists and all this other stuff. And I was doing really well on paper. Like I had a career with cushy benefits, a salary, I had power, like people would like lift their eyebrows when they said what I did. And I had all the like makings or the things of someone who should be happy or like should be successful. But I didn't feel like me. I wasn't happy. I didn't feel successful. I felt like something was missing. And I would try all of these different sort of methods of trying to fix it, like a new diet. Oh, maybe it's my diet, or I need to exercise differently, or maybe I need a vacation. And all of that would work for like a week or two, or maybe a month. And then I would just kind of go back to feeling how I felt. I knew I needed to make a change, but I was scared shitless. And I also, I just didn't think I was the kind of person who could not have just sort of everything mapped out for her. I thought I was not the kind of person that could own my own business. I thought that was something for other people who were braver or like were already good at what they were doing. Besides me, I just wasn't born with the thing that people have who own their own business. I had dreams of becoming a yoga teacher, which in Sacramento at the time was making about $15 a class, not as an employee, as a 1099, so that means untaxed yet. And I also had dreams of starting my first company. So I started sort of teaching on the side and working on the sort of initial skeleton of building my first business, which is a sweatshop for yoga apparel and retreats company. And basically, long story short, after about 2 years of building this stuff up on the side, I ended up launching my company in 2016. Didn't really have a plan, but just was fed up enough to quit. And also, I moved to LA and also started my own healing practice, training with a really awesome healer down there and taking on her overflow of clients at first. So that's a longer story for another day, but I'm trying to give you like the quick version. So I did this all by myself. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have a coach. I had no plan. And I got to do exactly what I wanted. I thought it was like the most amazing thing in the world. Like, instead of wearing a power suit and pretending not to be myself and, just going to the stuffy meetings and working like 14-hour days, I got to be barefoot and I got to wear leggings and I got to make my own schedule and I got to help people. Like, I was super passionate about being of service and making a change, and I'm good at it. I was good at it too. And people really were like excited that I was working with them, and that made me excited. And that was all I was dreaming of. I ended up making more money than my salaried position at the Capitol in less than 6 months. I actually think it was about 4.5 months before I went above and beyond my threshold. And this surprised me because my story was always that just like you had to be a starving business owner, or like if you were going to go build your business, you would have to be struggling. So my raise that I got was just as surprising as to me as it was to other people or my parents. So I picked up a bunch of clients. I worked with celebrities. I drove all over LA and thought I was really living the dream. Fast forward about a year, and I started becoming resentful towards my clients. I started getting that kind of feeling when my alarm went off. I was starting to work like 12-hour days again, which in a healing and bodywork practice, like that's extremely hard on your body. I was lugging the massage table in and out of my car. Like I said, so I was making plenty of money, but I was starting to just work longer days. I would skip meals just like in the name of like booking another client or trying to squeeze in someone else. And I just started to get exhausted, anxious, depressed, and feeling that kind of listless feeling I felt back at the Capitol. Even though I was making a bunch more money, I was spending it all because I was stressed out and I was unhappy. I would spend it on like massages. I was too tired to cook, so I would spend it on eating out a lot or like trying to take a weekend away. But even when I would take a weekend vacation, I'd be stressed out about my business falling apart. So basically, I burn out again. And I was right back where I started, and I just really didn't understand how this had happened to me again. And I arrived again at the same conclusion that like, well, it must just be me. Like there's something wrong with me because I made the jump. It was really exciting. I started living my own, dream life where I got to be the boss and all these other things, but I was unhappy. So I was just like, oh, well, it's just me and I'm stuck like this forever. I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed to be kind of like a failure. And it was even harder because so many other people were like, oh, but you get to live, the life. You're your own boss. Like people have this impression of owning your own business, any kind of business, as it just being like this easy thing. And it can be simple, but it's not necessarily easy in the way that they just kind of like assumed. I felt sort of like insecure, or I felt a lot insecure about what was going on in my life. So I tried to overcompensate by taking on even more clients. So I was like, oh, I must just need to work higher or work harder. I was taking on clients at a rate that wasn't high enough, and I was just constantly trying to prove myself to my clients and everyone else, and sort of against myself as well. So long story short, I made some more changes in my business. I kind of switched modalities a couple times. I kept taking leaps, kept taking bigger chances, and sort of quitting jobs or readjusting in a way that felt like quitting the Capitol again. And I kept kind of arriving at the same place. So even though I was chasing different dreams, I kept arriving at the same feeling that I had at the Capitol, and sort of feeling like I was going in circles and like I was going back to where I started every single time. So I burned out in yoga teacher training, yoga teaching, yoga leading, yoga. Hey God. So I've burnt out in yoga teaching, yoga teacher training, in retreat leading, in running my own business, in shipping orders out of my garage, in freelance social media managing, in healing and body work, which is like so ironic to me. So basically I'm the queen of burnout. I've spent countless hours and tons of money trying to find the missing mindset or like that one secret piece or strategy that I was missing. And after all of that, I told you I was bringing like a decade of self-study and mistakes into a sweet little package for you. I was the problem. Like I was absolutely the problem. It wasn't any of these other things outside of myself, but it's not in the way that I thought. It's not because I wasn't working hard enough. It's not because I was just destined to not be the kind of person who could be a successful business owner or someone who would ever be able to have freedom and money instead of one or the other. I was missing from every single part of my business. I worked with anyone who asked. I offered discounts to anyone who asked just because they asked. I priced myself based off of what I thought people could afford or what other people in my industry thought I should charge or based off of what they were charging. I honestly didn't even think about pricing that much other than just kind of going with what my perceived amount should be, of what I assumed without too much thought going into it. I made zero boundaries for my wants and needs to be met in my business. I would show up at all hours of the night for clients, no matter how many clients I had that day. I would say yes to any and everyone just because I was so excited and honored they wanted to work with me. And I would shapeshift at the drop of a hat to fit the needs of my clients. I was, just so excited that someone would want to work with me, and I never said no to anyone. So it wasn't until I learned that it was me who was creating this cycle of people pleasing and overperforming, like trying to prove my worth constantly to everyone around me, even if they weren't a part of my business. And I call it shape shifting. So kind of like, oh, you don't like this part of me, I'll just hide it or pretend that it's not there or just change my behavior to try to please you. And it wasn't my client's fault. It wasn't any boss I've ever had's fault or anyone like competing with me or in the same industry as me's fault. It was mine. And luckily, I am the only thing I have control over, so we can actually fix that. So once I realized this, I was finally able to start the real work. And I say the work with a capital W is the kind of work that I'm talking about. I invested in myself. I hired a coach, a healer, a therapist, and for the first time in my life, I really started making myself a priority. And it was like a scary amount of money for me at the time. I was I don't need anything, so I just like won't really intentionally spend money on myself. I'll like kind of stress out and throw money at something, but I won't like intentionally be like, no, you're worth like thousands of dollars to feel better. And to have a guide and to allow someone else to sort of help me work through my shit. I call it like, I've tried to go periods of time without having some kind of accountability with a coach or a healer or a therapist. And every single time I come back and I'm like, yeah, I call it your brain trying to fix your brain. So your own brain can't fix your own brain. Even though I know all of these things now, I always need someone to sort of mirror and reflect exactly what I'm going through so I don't get caught up in the kind of spiral of overworking and undercharging. All right, so part of this work with a capital W is doing a deep dive into the emotional work and to really start to sit with the parts of myself that actually didn't feel worthy of even my most basic needs being met. So that was just like, you deserve food and water and a safe place to call home. And from there, I was able to work up to like, I just want something, so I deserve to have that. I learned how to heal my relationship with money and claim my true worth. This is always going to be a work in progress, by the way, for you too. I call it like adding self-care, or the way that we treat self-care these days is how we are actually going to treat self-worth moving forward. So adding like a self-worth practice, spoiler alert. I finally started to claim what I actually wanted and allow myself to actually want it and build my business around that. So instead of like looking across the field of the marketplace in the world and trying to just kind of perceive what people need and then shape shift into that, I was like, this is what I need, this is what I want, and then I build my business from there. I made powerful boundaries in my personal and business life, cut out energy suckers who were pulling my energy out of my business. I learned how to sharpen my intuition, and I listened to her at all costs without hesitation. Now I pick her above everyone. Intuition is bae. So the result on the other side of that is true freedom. And to me, freedom also includes money. Having abundance and sort of the ability to know what I need and feel like I'm enough or like I deserve enough to actually go get it as well and incorporate that into my life. I have dream clients who are excited to pay me my worth and only want to work with me. I only say yes to anything if it's like, fuck yes, to like whatever it is. I don't care if it's like what I'm eating for lunch to working with a client. And that includes turning down lots of money if a client doesn't feel like 100% yes to me. Seriously. I also have powerful tools to identify and communicate my boundaries, not just around my needs, but my wants. I'm a big fan of nonviolent communication and learning how to utilize that in my business and in my life. I have a business that works for me instead of being run by my business. I have more money than I've ever made in my life. And I know I deserve it. I'm not shameful around that at all. I have valuable services, skills, and insight to offer, and I deserve the fair and energetic exchange for the worth of my services. So I have a business that feels good and a life that feels good, and those two go hand in hand. So this is what no one in the coaching industry wants to tell you. I also will have to make another video about all the things I have to say about the coaching industry, kind of wanting to call bullshit on like a lot of the things. I know I am a coach, but I have a lot to say about some of the spiritual bypassing and sort of misinformation that spread. I promise I'll make another video one day. But for now, the answers are actually really simple. It's not a crazy complicated answer. This also isn't signing up. This isn't about signing up for like another certification or degree where you can check all the boxes and check out. This isn't work you can have someone else do for you. So this is about you stepping into the work with the capital W. And in order to make a sustainable change, you have to be committed to changing your life on a daily basis. Stepping into the work. You're gonna have to make changes on a daily basis. So this isn't gonna work if you're not ready to change. This is a new kind of hard work. It is not the man up and mash through your feelings and stay late kind of hard work. It's learning how to be messy and vulnerable and honest and to hold yourself and to not betray yourself even when it's really ugly. So part of this is it's going to be scary. It's going to be painful and it's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to have intimidating conversations with your friends and family and clients as you learn how to implement the boundaries that you need. So a big part of this work is being able to uncover and clear out everything that's not yours so you can really see what you want and need, claim what you want and need, and then communicate that to the world around you so you can actually have the space to be yourself. And you're not going to want to do it. I know that because I didn't want to do it and I don't want to do it still. But learning how to sit with the reasons why you don't want to do that. And you have to be ready to commit to trusting yourself and your intuition above everything. Seriously, you are number one moving forward. And no matter what anyone else has to say, you still have to choose you, even your clients. I know that sounds crazy, but bear with me here. One more disclaimer before we dive in. You can't unknow what I'm about to tell you. So the thing about knowing is that you're going to have to go back to your life. So you're not going to be able to go back to your life after watching this and like not see all of the changes that you need to make. This is going to be just hanging out right outside of your periphery. You're going to try to forget it if you're not ready, but it's just not going to go away. So if you're not ready, just stop watching. Seriously, it's okay. You can come back when you are ready. True story, I have began this work with clients. Their first session, no mention of any trouble in their relationship with their husband. By the third session, they realized that they need a divorce. And that literally happens in our work together. Someone who is dead set on thinking they never want to have kids, all of a sudden in our work realize they want to have a kid. What does this have to do with your business and business coaching? This is really deep work about who you really are. And that's what I mean by life and business go hand in hand in this. And that's just my last disclaimer before we dive in. Like, you will uncover things you didn't know were there. And for me personally, once I know they're there, I have to make changes in my life. So yeah, if you're not ready, just click out. That's okay. You can come back later. And if you are, just take a deep breath. And I'd also like to have you, oh, whoops, we're not at that slide yet. Just kidding. So you're here because making money sounds awesome. And you're still a little bit skeptical and or you don't even really want to admit that you want money. You're uncomfortable around money, thinking about spending it, thinking about not having enough, thinking about having too much. You want to keep it a secret. There's like all this guilt. We'll dive into that later. But I want to point out that for people like you and me, this isn't just about making money. Yes, you're going to make more money, but this isn't, I don't want to work with anyone, and this video isn't for someone who only cares about making money. We are passionate as fuck about being of service to the world. And that sort of has led us here. We give so much of a fuck about helping other people that we lose ourselves in helping other people. We build our entire life actually around helping other people and being of service. We really care about other people's feelings. We love the environment. We love animals. We are always trying to, even when you don't have money, you're like donating money, or you're super tired and just kind of spent in your life, but you like volunteer to do stuff or just say yes anytime someone asks for help. We care deeply about helping others, and this is why it's so important that you do this work so that you can make more money and have a bigger impact. Because to me, giving just to give is always going to end in burnout if you aren't circling back to like check in to see what you need. It's just not sustainable. They say, like you can't pour from an empty cup. So I want you to close your eyes and just like let go of everything you think you know about what's possible, and whatever limitations or perceived limitations you think you have about money and financial freedom and having freedom in your business and being able to communicate your needs and creating a life you want. Just like let that go and take a deep breath. And imagine what it would look like to be able to move through work that you love to do with ease. Like every single bit of your life and business feels like 100% of a hell yes. You don't do anything that doesn't 100% light you on fire. Imagine yourself having a sustainable business that makes more than enough money, and you're confident that money is coming in. And it also doesn't require 100% of your attention, like 3-hour work days, 5 days a week. Yeah, really. And imagine what it would feel like to know that money is coming in, and that money is coming in to you for being yourself. Like people are excited to pay you to be yourself. and you're confident in your skills and you're excited about all the people that you get to help and the way you get to help the earth and the way you get to help animals and just everyone else around you. Just like you having more money and you doing what you do is actually quite literally making the world a better place. So if you had these things, how would that make a difference in your life? Like, how would you walk? How would you talk? How would you breathe? How would you check your email? How would you answer emails? How would you shop? How would you spend your money? What would you pay your employees? What kind of companies would you invest in? Would you start a nonprofit with all your extra time and funds? The possibilities really are endless. And I also want to highlight that, like, if you're not going to step into your money work for yourself, then do it for everyone else. Like, we need you to be rich. You'd be really good at it. Okay, you ready? We're finally there. So part of this journey for me was learning how to be selfish. You're going to have to learn how to be selfish in a good way. Learning how to put yourself first so you can make a bigger impact. I had to learn how to bring all of me into my business, even the ugly parts I want to hide from everyone else. By understanding what I really wanted and needed, I was able to build a business around what I needed and how I work best, instead of shape-shifting and buckling and bending myself to fit everyone else's needs just because they asked or just because I thought they would ask. Put your phone down if you haven't already. Turn it on Do Not Disturb. If you're ready to make sustainable changes in your life, the next 60 minutes or 45 minutes, I don't know how long it's going to be yet, but this can be a total game changer for you. And extra points now if you want to close your eyes with me and take a deep breath. Okay. So we're going to show you today how learning to be selfish in a good way is the secret to solving your burnout. It's 100% not true that you personally are the one exception and everyone else just gets to have what they want except for you. And I say that as someone who thought that as well. And you can actually do this now, like today. You can start today. You don't have to wait for permission from another certification, another year of experience, another promotion, another e-course, or going back to school. You can do this today. So this is what happens when you know this. Here's a couple screenshots from clients who are reporting $10,000 months after 8 weeks together. 3,000 5,400 in 1 week, and 2,500 one-day retreat package. So these are from real clients that text me or email me. See, I'll move this so you can see it's real. It's legit. And these are people that, again, didn't come here to make more money or like secretly wanted more money, but wasn't necessarily about the money. They were so passionate about sharing their services. The money comes after that or comes with that. When you know your worth, the money comes. And this is literally this. Okay, so today is July 8th, 2020. This was from 2 weeks ago, all of these screenshots. These are fresh screenshots. So when you hone in on exactly who you are and claim what you really want, the money comes every time. It's tried and true. So we'll start with number 1, and that's you have got to be selfish. And I know it's going to feel squirmy and like you don't want to actually do that. So essentially, you and I have spent our entire lives until now acting small and accommodating other people and making that a priority. Every single thing in your life is built around other people. The job you have, the clothes you wear, who you're friends with, what you eat, how you spend your time, like going to that birthday party you actually don't want to go to, but you feel like you should in case someone else is mad or disappointed in you. And even who you date. It's affected by what others say or what you think they would say or what they won't say but are saying behind your back. Like, you can build your entire life down to like the color of your furniture, the way you wear your hair, if you decide to or not to shave your legs. Like, it's literally down to every nook and cranny is how you've lived your life is for other people or trying to be enough for other people. You undercharge and overgive in your business and in your relationships, and this is not your fault. So this is something that we've learned at a very early age from caretakers. So that could be your parents or guardians or just kind of adults that were in charge of you when you were younger. And these adults that were in charge of you when you were younger, they were checked out or unable to meet your physical and or emotional needs when you were a child. And I also want to say that this doesn't necessarily mean they had to be bad people or have malicious intent by any means. That there are instances of like abuse or trauma inflicting relationships. That is definitely a possibility. But this doesn't mean necessarily that your parents were bad people or your guardians were bad people. It just meant or means for whatever reason, they were unable to meet your physical or emotional needs. So we basically learned that since they couldn't handle our emotions, or like if we were mad or sad, they'd be like, stop doing that, or like, you're stressing me out, or you got some kind of negative attention in response for your emotions. You learned to perform a certain way in order to get positive attention, or at least not negative attention. So like, your parents don't really pay attention to you unless they're yelling at you to stop crying or to stop being angry, or to like shame you for crying or being angry or having some kind of emotion. We learn really quickly not to have our emotions or not to be ourselves in order to receive attention. And then we confuse that attention for love. But attention is not love. So it's actually really smart that we did that. It's a really, really smart survival mechanism that we pick up from like almost the moment like we come into this world. We learn to act in a way that our providers would want to keep us around so that we could survive. And that also perpetuates the sort of proving your worth so that people will keep you around. So like, see, I can do my chores, or see, I can cook myself a sandwich. And they either don't yell at me or they say, oh, you're a good girl. And then we go, okay, if I keep doing that, they'll keep us around. Because as kids, we don't have access to food or water or shelter or like money to get any of those things. So we learned that to be kept around by adults. That's kind of like our defense mechanism or survival mechanism. So the problem is, or I guess kind of the crossroads here, is that we took that behavior and that survival mechanism into adulthood. Even though you're an adult now and you're fully capable of taking care of yourselves and meeting your basic needs, and also of meeting your emotional needs, even though they're probably not being met yet. So even though we're capable of these things, we still walk around and try to prove to everyone around us, and that goes for even people we don't like or like strangers on the internet, that we're worthy of being kept around. And we literally just go through our life trying to prove our worth to everyone so we don't get left behind, even though we're in control now. So this plays into our personal relationships, all your friendships, romantic relationships, clients, bosses, coworkers, everything. And we build our entire life around trying not to cause any negative reaction in others because it used to cost us, or it would have cost us in childhood. And it leaves zero room for ourselves anywhere in our life. We are constantly looking for permission and that finally enough feeling on the other side of showing others how good we are to them. So the shittier we feel on the inside, the more we go, oh, I'm going to go and try and find love. But remember, attention isn't love. I'm going to go and try and find love or that enough feeling in the ways I can prove my worth and value to everyone else around me. Which is why no matter what we do, we will never feel like enough. if you're operating from this kind of lens or framework. Even if the person, I'm like trying to think of an example of who's like the king of queen of like who, when you'd finally feel enough. If like Beyonce and Obama were like, I'm proud of you, you're amazing, you're my hero, it still wouldn't be enough. You can have all the certifications in the world, all the money in the world, success on paper, fancy relationships with famous people or whatever. Everyone else can say like, your life is amazing, and it won't feel like enough until you learn how to meet the part of yourself that really needs attention and learn how to be the one to give it to yourself. This is why in our personal life, we keep going to that one thing with that one friend who drains us, even though we don't want to. This is also why we keep letting things, friends or romantic relationships or family, continue to do things that hurt or disappoint us. That's why we let it slide. Because we're like, well, I don't want them to leave me. People who are only around because we've known them for a long time and they're in our friend group and we're afraid of causing an inconvenience is another example. And also because we feel like we should be grateful for who we do have, and we're afraid this is the best we can do. So remember that last part as we go to the next slide. This is also why in our business life, we stay with clients who suck the life out of us, clients who, even if we were brave enough to make boundaries with, they wouldn't listen. Nothing we ever do is enough for them. They call and email at all hours of the night and day and fight us about our rates every step of the way. But we don't drop them because we feel like we should be grateful for what we do have, and we're afraid this is the best we can do. See the parallel? The survival mechanism we've learned in childhood, we brought it into our adulthood and brought it into our work life. We continue operating at the overgive and undercharging scenario, and that's why our business feels like shit, even if we're successful. In the yoga world, we say how you do anything is how you do everything, which is why it's so important to do the deep work on you, because it's the work and boundaries and baggage that you've been avoiding in your personal life is the reason why your business is acting like it is. And I say business as in like your job too. Like you're continuing to try to prove your worth in a certain way to your coworkers and your boss, and you let them like run a train over you emotionally and energetically. You're playing small and you're accommodating because you're afraid of being left behind, and it's literally costing you. Okay, so when we don't get to be our whole selves, or when it is not safe to be our whole selves, so even back to childhood, that means that we are expending our own energy to cover up who we really are. And this could be going on like 24 hours a day. Kind of like trying to keep yourself tucked in, like keep your real self tucked in so your real self won't show and you won't get that negative feedback or negative attention, or worse, left behind. The longer we cover ourselves up, the less our needs and wants are met, and the less we are seen by anyone, including ourselves. And you know, that internal battle of like who you are or how you're acting and how you want to be, that kind of friction is because you're just denying who you really are. And the longer we do this, the farther away everyone else feels. So if you have that kind of like outside looking in feeling in any area of your life, this is why. This leads to exhaustion, resentment, and there's something missing, but I can't quite put my finger on it feeling. And that's also why we can make a bunch of money and we spend it all trying to fill that kind of hole that is waiting for us to fill it in ourselves. So this is what it looks like, or this is how we start. Operating from a me first life and business model. So this is being selfish in a good way. Get honest with yourself about what you really need and build your business and your life from there. Now, this say that and you immediately know what you want. This is the part where it really helps to have a mirror kind of with you and calling you out to help you work through what energy is actually yours and what is not. Because in this life where you've been denying yourself and hiding yourself, you've also been taking on a lot of other people's energy that makes it very confusing and hard to see what you really want. So 2 is to define your dream client and only commit to tasks and work that makes you 100% excited. And I know this is going to be hard for you if you were taught like, but you should be grateful, or like that's how you feel. But seriously, you are going to create a life that you exclusively do, things that feel like an 100% hell yes only. 99%, nope. 99.9%, nope. We do not compromise anymore. And then the 3rd is to price yourself at the honest, energetic cost of what it takes you to take on and work with a client. So we're moving away from the completely outdated charge for your time model, which not only puts a cap on how much money you can make, but it just devalues your work and it punishes you for being able to do something faster. So, if you spend more time studying something and you're able to do something faster than someone who's just starting out, why would you be punished for that? That's probably its own video. But so basically starting with pricing yourself as like what allows your shoulders to just completely relax when you think about work. If you think about a client and start to like, or like clench up or start to, just not feel like it's 100% yes, you either need to raise your prices, make a new boundary with that client that will allow your shoulders to relax, or communicate your needs somehow in a way that you need to, or drop the client. Seriously. So this also applies to your life. Get honest with yourself about why you're friends with your friends. Do any of them give you an feeling, or do they make you feel alive? Are they adding to your feeling of empowerment and power and feeling like yourself, or do you have to act a certain way so they'll stay your friend? I think you can guess what I want you to do with the latter. 2, stop going to anything at all because you feel obligated to. If it's not 100% yes, we don't go. This goes for personal life and business life. Make boundaries around when you're available. Just because someone has your phone number, it doesn't mean they're given, typo, my bad. It doesn't mean they're given 24/7 access to you. I live my life with my phone on Do Not Disturb. My voicemail literally says I'm either with a client in a meeting or energetically unavailable. I also don't typically give out my personal cell phone number to clients so that they are communicating with me via email and I can do a controlled check. In the work that I do and the work that you're going to be doing, your energy is sacred and it has to come first, and you have to come first. Do not price yourself based on the market. The market has nothing to do with you. I don't care what your competitors are doing. I don't care what you or anyone else throws you in the same category is pricing themselves. Don't care. I don't care about your market research. I know. I'm going to probably make some certain maybe business coaches or theorists squirm, but it's true. Do not price yourself based off of your competition. Also has nothing to do with you. Do not price yourself based off of what you think your dream client can afford. First of all, that has nothing to do with you either. Second of all, you're making it not about you. Remember, we're operating from a me first business model. So we're talking about the honest, energetic exchange of what it would cost you to show up as your whole self with your dream client, even if they are a dream client. We don't make exceptions for changing our pricing or changing who we are or changing a boundary just for money or just for a client. Because the second you start doing that, everything else starts falling apart. So, those little kind of like vintage airplane signs about why this is so important. You put your own mask on before you put on the mask of the person next to you, or you make sure that you have air first, because if you are out of oxygen, you can't help anyone. And I love that metaphor for burnout, and the reason why we're creating this me first business model and life model, because when you have enough energy, when you have abundance, when you have the freedom to be yourself, you can help so many more people and the earth. And really the possibilities are limitless to what you can create and the impact you can have. If you're helping people without that, and by sacrificing yourself and not being yourself, you're going to hit burnout 100% every time. I burn out like 10 times, like I just explained to you. I've tried every single way to get out of this besides this work, and this is the key to how this works, actually works sustainably. So we're in it for the long haul, and we need you to start incorporating not just your needs, but your wants, like get bougie with it, into your life and business. All right, so moving on to number 2. It is 110% not true that you're the one exception. You are special. You're special as hell, but you are not so special that you're the one person on this earth that didn't get the memo. If you're not familiar with imposter syndrome, I'd like to introduce you to imposter syndrome, or at least revisit it. The definition, it's a noun. The definition is the persistent inability to believe that one's success is derived or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own efforts or skills. And an example is people suffering from imposter syndrome may be at increased risk of anxiety and depression and your body shutting down and adrenal fatigue and being really grumpy all the time and feeling like you're not good enough. So another way to say is that feeling that someone's just going to jump out of the bushes at you one day and shout, she doesn't actually know what she's talking about, or blow you up on the internet and call you a fraud, or who does she think she is for charging that much and calling herself an expert? Things like that. You know what I'm talking about. So all of this comes back down to self-worth. Remember when I told you that you were taught to perform a certain way to be worthy of love or to earn affection? Well, that also taught you that without performing, you're not worthy of love or of what you want. But that's not true. That's 100% not true. You were born worthy of every single thing you've ever wanted without ever having to work or suffer for it. You're also worthy of unconditional love already. And it's in learning how to believe that right this second, instead of being like, oh, well, once I make $500,000 a year, I'll know that I'm worthy. Or, oh, once I book 5 high-ticket clients, I'll know I'm worthy. Or, oh, once I get another certification, get another year of experience, get accolades from someone I respect, I'll feel worthy. You have to know it right now and operate from there. That's part of the me first and the knowing your worth business and life model. It's not your fault that you don't know this already because no one taught you. This is actually quite innovative in and of itself. I haven't seen all of this put together like this anywhere. I'm not saying it's not out there, but I am saying it's quite new. And as the world shifts, I think people will start to realize how important that is, and this is, because the world is literally starting to fall apart because it's built for us to not be ourselves. And it's built for us to continually have to suffer and consume in order to prove ourselves and get what we want. And it's not sustainable. And people are burning out and looking for a different way to work, like you. And that's why you're here. This is something that you get to incorporate into your daily routine, like you've already been working on with self-care. I like to practice with eye gazing in the mirror. There's a bunch of different exercises that I do, or jumping around and dancing, and telling myself, you are already worth everything you've ever wanted without having to suffer for it. Like you deserve it today without ever having to prove yourself or work another day or anything like that. Like you just deserve it. It can be easy and you deserve it to be easy. Here's my little crash course on a money reframe. So I know I mentioned before, you're probably a little squirmy about money, maybe a little skeptical about the money thing still. I know I was when I first started this work. Here's my quick reframe. Money is not a finite resource like food or water. It's infinite. It's literally energy. And I know you probably feel guilty around money, like I mentioned before, or like you're taking away from someone, like taking their money away, or yeah, like you're punishing them or something, and so you feel guilty taking on that money. That's not true. If it's an infinite resource and if it's energy, it's actually it's an energy exchange. The same way you would show up to help someone build something, you're pouring your energy or you're paying your energy into a project. And we need you to be rich. We need you to have the most energy and the most money so you can buy sustainable, support small business, hire employees, and pay them hella money. And build out large companies and corporations that actually give a shit. That is going to be the change. And another note on guilt and shame. That guilt or shame around money or the feeling of investing in yourself is not your energy. And also, it was taught to you. You are not born, no baby is born knowing how to feel guilt or shame. Someone taught you how to feel it. So anytime you feel guilt or shame around anything at all, sexuality and pleasure and having fun, or that feeling of having something easily or for free, that's not yours. Someone taught it to you. Your dream life is literally waiting for you. You can have this today. All you have to do is claim it. Once you give yourself permission to actually want all the things you want, instead of lying to yourself or making up stories or talking yourself out of your dreams because of practicality or all the reasons that that old story keeps telling you shouldn't want it, or you should feel guilty, or you should feel happy with what you do have. Also, quick note back on the shame and guilt thing, the word should is inherently shaming. So anytime you should yourself, that's shame, and that's also not yours. So that's you trying to not be yourself and perpetuating that not whole self or not being my true self model. So instead of thinking everyone else but me, switch your frame, do a reframe on your thinking to say, why not you? How could it be that you're the one exception? Why not you? Why can't you be the one to come in and shake things up and change things? Excuse me. It is 100% true that you really can have anything you want. This isn't some woo-woo bullshit. This is like straight up, I learned how to claim this and it's worked for me. And I have helped dozens of people pleasers, both men and women, claim it. And it's literally on the other side of allowing yourself to want it. The longer you keep that like, well, I'm afraid of what I really want, or I'm afraid of my power, I'm afraid to want money because if I want it, that means I may be disappointed because I don't get it. If you stay there, that's small and that's hiding yourself and that's hiding who you really are. If you can allow yourself to just breathe into it and admit it, you can have it. Promise. So here's a couple examples of people-pleasing things I've done to just continue to point out where I've come from to get here to this point. So I've dated probably more than once someone for an extra 2 years because I was afraid of disappointing them. I didn't want to make them sad. So I just continued living with them and dating them and living my life around them and accommodating them. I stayed in a job that was at the Capitol. I stayed in a job an extra 3. What the heck? I have stayed in a job an extra 3 years because I was afraid of disappointing my parents. Now, they would probably never say that if you asked them, but I could just feel this pull in my dad's voice that he was like so proud of what I was doing, and I just didn't want to like scare him by me taking a chance on myself. And he was so proud, I wanted him to like still be able to say like my daughter works at the Capitol, and literally built my life around that, which is crazy. I have done over $5,000 worth of body work for free to a client because I was afraid to ask them to pay me. Yeah, even though they knew it cost money. I knew it cost money. And the resentment on that was building up a lot. I don't work with them anymore. I have taken jobs from really sketchy clients in bodywork and otherwise because I was afraid of saying no or offending anyone. I have waited for clients to ask about money and literally whispered my prices because I was ashamed and afraid of them thinking it was too much. So I would like pack up my bag, get ready to go, and then just like not say anything. And then I'd be at the door. They'd be like, wait, do I need to pay you? And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. And then they go, well, how much is it? And I would be like, 125. It's dead serious. I operated like that for years. There's more stories than that, but you get the idea. So exercising or learning, just like anything else, exercising or learning a language, you just have to practice unlearning that old story. So identifying and unlearning that old story that you need to suffer, perform, pay your dues in order to have what you want, or like do something in order to deserve it, and relearning or reframing that you actually already deserve it, like right now, like right this second. I can teach you everything you know about high-end branding and marketing, all sorts of strategies, funnels, organic magnetic marketing, plug and play, webinar, like all of that, like jargony, not bullshit, like it's useful, right? But I can build you out any kind of business you want. Like literally my clients vary from DJs to landscape architects to coaches to social media managers to online shops, chefs. Yeah, you get the idea. I can build you out any business you want, but I can't make you want it. You have to want it. And actually, no one can make you want it except for you. All right. So number 3, you can do this now. You do not have to wait for permission from another certification, another year of experience, promotion, e-course, going back to school, or in fact, this is your permission right now. Here you go. I don't know you, or I don't think I know you yet. Maybe I do, but I know you. We're the same. If you've gotten this far in this webinar, we're the same, and this works for you. This is the work that you need. I know you work harder than anyone else. I know that you're thorough as hell. I know you're loyal to a fault. I know you'll sacrifice yourself for other people. You put everyone else's needs first. You dot your I's and cross your T's. Stop looking for permission on the other side of some asshole's certification. And I don't care if that's like a fancy university or some like $25 coaching certification on the internet. Sidebar, there's no such thing as a coaching certification. So all of that really is bullshit. I can guarantee you that you can build out a successful business on what you already know right now. We're talking high ticket. No more of this waiting for another year or another X, Y, and Z until you're good enough. And do you want to know how I know? Your dream client is you. Your dream client is you, but a few steps behind you. So to them, you are an expert. You are doing them a favor by putting in the work to own your worth and share your gifts with the world. And they're going to get where you are faster and easier than you did. Just the same way, like if you've gotten to this point and haven't clicked out of it and you're going, oh my God, how does she know that? What the hell? Like, it's like she's talking to me. I am talking to you because I am you. And your dream client is going to have the exact same feeling when they are able to connect with you. All it takes is uncovering exactly who that is and how to connect with them. This works across all industries. I've proved this tried and true method with all of my clients. I mentioned I have a ton of different kinds of clients in many different industries. People pleasers do not discriminate on their industries. And I have literally seen this across like the entire spectrum of, I guess I haven't had an engineer yet. I'm trying to think of any other exceptions, even like a surf school. Yeah, so anyways, it doesn't matter what your industry is. It doesn't matter what you want to do. Your work is the same. And your dream client is just like you, and they're excited to pay you your worth. Like they're excited to pay you, and they're excited to know what you know. And they even think it's like a bargain to be able to work with you, even when you're charging to you what would be high ticket. And I know you're doing that thing where you're like, yeah, okay, it works for everyone else, but not for me thing. And I know that because, again, I am you. But this is fucking true. it is true. There's a revolution happening, and we are learning how to work differently. And people pleasers are learning how to put themselves first and become empowered and literally change the world. I said earlier that I believe people pleasers are actually healers that just haven't like stepped into their power yet. And I really believe, especially with all the things happening in the world, I really truly believe that we are how the world is going to change, and it starts from the inside and with you. Again, no certification, no amount of years of experience or promotion will ever make you feel like enough. Even if you're going to close this out and be like, okay, well, I'm just going to do one more year at my job and get a promotion and get one more raise so I have the title on my resume, so then I'll feel better about quitting and doing something else. It's not going to make you feel better. Nothing. Not Beyonce, not Obama, not 27 PhDs, not any of that. Anything you think you need, that's not true. And I promise that because, again, I know you. This is the exact same thing we've been talking about in your people-pleasing tendencies. Nothing will make you feel like enough until you do the inner work. Don't believe me? If you don't believe me, go sign up for that other course you've been looking at, and then call me when you realize it didn't work. You're still going to be afraid of rejection. You're still going to feel unworthy. You're still not going to feel like enough. You're still going to be shy about your pricing. You're still going to undercharge. You're still going to overgive. And the same reason you're looking for affection and enoughness through these other things like qualifications or titles is the same reason that you're afraid to make boundaries with people in your personal life and clients, and the same reason you keep trying to make changes to fix it, but you just keep ending up in the same place. And take it from me, I have burnt out really, really hard in so many different ways, as I explained. I'll make like a whole long, more detailed list of my story and literally how burnout was causing my body to start to shut down as well. So it's not just emotional resentment and anxiety and depression. Your body, it has physical symptoms as well. So do you remember when I told you that you can't unknow this? Now you know. You're sitting on a gold mine right this second. You're sitting on your dream life right this second. The only thing in between you and the life you want is finally admitting to yourself what you actually want, which is money and freedom. How do I know that? Because duh, why wouldn't you want that? Like, why not? Of course you want that. And it doesn't have to be this far off dream that you'll never achieve. And you already have all the knowledge right this second to make it. And to make the commitment to yourself, and in order to actually make this change, you have to commit to learning how to work differently, because you deserve it, and for no other reason than that. You deserve more. You deserve clients who are excited to pay you, who value your services and only want you. You deserve a business that you don't have to put a game face on or put yourself aside and go back to process your feelings later. You get to bring your feelings with you into your new life. You deserve to feel authentic and not icky salesy in selling your services and getting clients. You deserve a streamlined onboarding process that draws new clients to you with ease and weeds out anyone who isn't your perfect fit, so that by the time someone actually gets to your call or onboarding process or whatever, they are 99% of the time an actual ideal client. So saving you time and energy and ensuring you're not even going to have to make the boundaries that you think you have to make because of the way that we structure the onboarding process. You deserve the flexibility to travel and play without guilt or fear that everything will fall apart. So building a sustainable business that won't fall apart the second you're not paying attention. And that also has to do with claiming your worth, which is also claiming your ability to not just have to work all the time. And you deserve that. You deserve a life that you're in love with and that you're excited to wake up to in the morning. You deserve healthy boundaries with clients and personal relationships and the tools to know how to adjust and adapt and communicate your needs and wants as they change. You deserve the confidence to know your true purpose. You deserve to know it deep in your bones that you are worthy of more money, freedom, and happiness. You deserve it. So to sum it all up, You now know that being selfish and learning how to put yourself first in your business and your life is how you can personally thrive and make a bigger impact on making the world a better place. You now know that it's 100% not true that you're the one exception, and all you need to do today, right now, is to claim what you want and to practice knowing your worth. You now know that you can do this now, like right now. Fuck getting permission from another certification. I already gave you your permission like 5 minutes ago. Like, you officially have permission. You don't need another year of experience, any other whatever, stupid e-courses or going back to school. And there's literally nothing stopping you. I told you, you can't unknow this. So you now have two choices. You can implement what you've learned here and jump right into action. And this was enough for you to take it and run with it. Good for you. I 100% support you. Literally, like, just taking this and running with it. This isn't like a huge ploy to like get you to work with me. And also, my ideal client anyways is someone who's ready to work with me. So if this was enough for you, just go for it. And I wish you well on your way, and like, share me your success on Instagram, because I'm excited to see what you make with this. And then the second one is to get it done right. So in 10 weeks, I offer an opportunity to get the direction from someone who has tested this over and over, both with myself and all those that I've coached. So you can get there faster and easier than you would on your own. So if you are ready to commit to yourself and make a sustainable change to set yourself free with more money and abundance just for being yourself, like right now with what you already know, I want to hop on a call with you to chat. It's free. We talk for about 45 minutes, and we just do a deep dive into exactly what you've got going on, anything that has been working for you, what's not working for you, and where you want to go. And we're going to map out exactly how to get you there. So you can finally put a stop to like all this bullshit. You can stop being tired. You can stop not knowing what to do, and you can start claiming your worth and building a life that actually feels like you. My disclaimer for this: I am not for everyone. You'll learn in my program that we emphasize very much on honing in exactly on who lights you on fire to work with. And since I walk the walk, reasons not to schedule a call is as follows. If you're not ready to do the work and actually commit to making changes in your life, don't schedule a call. I only work with people who are fed up enough to make changes in their life. And this isn't something you can sign up for and like expect me to do all the work for you. I'm here to guide you into your work and into building your business, but it is very much not a sign up and check out thing. Do not call me if you're not really sure if you want it. I can help you get anything you want. I can help you build any business you want, but I can't make you want it. No one can do that for you. You have to be hungry. And lastly, don't call me if you're not ready to get called out. I do it lovingly, and I hold a lovingly safe and brave space, but I'm here to call you out on your shit so you can finally put a stop to that cycle you typically have. Reasons to schedule a call. There's something deep in your bones that keeps telling you that you're meant for more. You just don't really know what it is yet. And that like kind of one little thing that you just can't quite put your finger on, yeah, that's my specialty. You still think you're the one exception or your dream is too big? Try me. I dare you. That's my favorite. Call me if you have success on paper, but you feel like there's something missing. If you're ready to finally do something for you and stop the old story of never having enough money or free time, or like being afraid to invest in yourself or putting yourself on the back burner, et cetera, et cetera. And also call me if you're ready to be a part of the revolution. Women owning their worth and changing themselves so they can change the world. Like I said, we're healers, and we need you to know your worth and know your power so we can rebuild this world in a way that is way fucking better. Fuck the patriarchy, right? So you can head on over to thebusinessbitch.co to schedule your free call. I have a couple of onboarding questions so I can get to know you better. And as well, expect to laugh, expect to cry a little bit. And if we're a good fit, I'll go ahead and make an offer. But if not, then you can plan on at least having some kind of referral or resources to turn to. So either way, you're going to walk away with the call with a lot of clarity. So I'm really excited to meet you and hear about your dreams. And thank you so much for hanging out with me today.